Welcome to City Edge. Coming up ahead? What's in your fridge? All you need to know about food safety. What's hip and happening in the religious scene? And it's time to say bye to those old CDs. Jacera Sinclair vents about the perils of biking around Concordia. And now that Christmas is approaching, are you feeling generous? Stay tuned. Hi there, I'm Julia Princelar.
And I'm Aisha San. Thanks for joining us at City Edge, stories from Concordia reporters. Do you trust the food you buy?
Actually, Canadians are no strangers to food recalls slamming our supermarkets. From cold cuts to tomatoes, cheese to chocolate, Canada sees an average of 300 products pulled off its shelves each year, and that number continues to climb.
But how do they know when food is unsafe to eat in the first place?
Well, that's a good question. Current food testing methods have trouble finding out the difference between food that's dangerously contaminated or in fact perfectly safe to eat. But now that has the potential to change. I looked into how a fish no bigger than your thumb could be the missing link. If you thought the only place for these colorful little swimmers was a fishbowl, think again. Despite their small size, they found a big place in science. We share our food with plenty of bacteria, and some species produce toxins that make us sick. With the help of these fish, Oregon State University microbiologist Janine Trempe says she's discovered a new technology that could revolutionize food testing procedures. Current food tests are done by comparing a sample thought to be contaminated with a model of bacterial DNA.
It's very specific, and it can tell you precisely who was there, but what it can't do is tell you if the bacterium is alive, if it's being bad, if it's producing its toxins. It can only just tell you it's there.
Trempe says that today's procedures solve only half the problem. What remains in a gray area is the bacteria's toxic capacity, and this could make the difference of throwing away millions of dollars worth of food that could in fact be perfectly safe to eat. But by teasing out the red pigment-bearing cells in Siamese fighting fish and placing these under a microscope, the difference is clear. When toxin-producing bacteria are added to the cells, the color intensifies within minutes. When non-toxic bacteria are added, there is simply no response. Within weeks of the Maple Leaf Foods recall, 300 cheese retailers were forced to clear their shelves last September after a province-wide recall in Quebec because of a suspected listeria outbreak. Gilles Jourdanet had to throw away $100,000 worth of cheese because he bought products from a producer that may have been contaminated.
But even to this day, they don't have sufficient proof that there was a specific contamination. It cost the industry millions of dollars that we threw away for absolutely nothing.
With this new technology, things could have turned out differently. A simple toxicity assessment on the food production level could rule out sources of contamination in the future. In the meantime, food recalls aren't sitting well with consumers.
Yes, and I was very concerned, so I am careful, but I'm probably not careful enough.
Researchers at Oregon State University have identified 4 species of bacteria that work with their toxicity assessments, including Salmonella and Bacillus cereus, which is commonly known as the stomach flu. Whether or not this applies to Listeria or E. coli is part of ongoing research, but this breakthrough doesn't stop with food testing. Because this technology detects toxicity levels, it could be applied to a whole realm of public health and safety issues, like our water quality. Reporting for City Edge, I'm Julia Princelar. You know, I hardly ever see anyone come into this church. I wonder how many Concordia students go there, or go to church at all.
You'd be surprised. Audrey Borgia knows quite a few young people who are interested in pursuing a religious career. In fact, she sat down to talk with some of them about why they chose such a rare path.
Merci Seigneur pour l'opportunité que tu me donnes aujourd'hui de témoigner. Seigneur, je te demande de parler à travers moi. Je te remercie.
Jean-Mathieu est un jeune protestant qui veut devenir pasteur. Alors que les églises catholiques du Québec demeurent presque vides, la religion protestante compte de plus en plus d'adeptes, surtout chez les jeunes. J'ai rencontré 3 d'entre eux qui se destinent à la profession de pasteur.
Un de mes grands conseillers, c'est mon père. Je lui en avais parlé, que j'avais ça qui bouillait en dedans de moi. Puis il m'a fait un conseil assez sage. Il me dit Si tu penses que tu as un appel sur ta vie, fais comme si tu ne l'avais pas. Essaye de l'oublier. Puis si ça revient, si en fait tu ne peux pas comme résister, si c'est vraiment un appel de Dieu, ça va tout le temps revenir.
J'ai combattu avec ça pendant 5 ans, jusqu'à temps que Dieu vraiment, je mette Dieu au défi, puis je dise à Dieu, OK, Dieu, je suis juste tanné d'avoir ça, de cette pensée-là, cette idée-là d'aller étudier pour devenir pasteur. Je veux que tu me répondes. Et j'ai prié et j'ai eu la réponse à mes prières. Je dis pas que Dieu était... Et j'ai pas entendu la voix de Dieu, puis pas ces affaires-là. Mais j'ai eu une paix, j'ai fait un choix, j'ai eu une paix en dedans de moi, que je faisais la bonne affaire.
Tous mes héros, moi, c'était des missionnaires, des pasteurs, tous des gens comme qui étaient très, très impliqués au niveau du service de l'Église et tout ça. Fait que moi, dans mon cœur, ça a toujours germé ce désir-là de vouloir aller un jour à l'école biblique, puis un jour, moi aussi, m'impliquer comme ça, t'sais. Donc, c'est ça, je pense que je devais avoir, dès que j'ai eu à peu près 12 ans, l'idée est comme arrivée, puis chaque fois que je passais devant le collège biblique, je me disais, un jour, je vais y aller.
L'Institut biblique du Québec accueille et forme une centaine de personnes intéressées à la vocation de pasteur et à la religion protestante. Mais qu'est-ce qu'on y apprend? C'est
des cours assez variés au niveau de la théologie, au niveau pratique aussi. C'est vraiment pour... c'est une école de formation autant personnelle que théologique, que professionnelle, oui, dans le cas qu'on veut devenir pasteur, plus tard qu'on va en faire une carrière, si on veut, là. Mais dans le fond, c'est vraiment des cours très, très variés, là, puis ça nous aide à nous regarder en tant que personne. Puis ce que j'aime, c'est justement que ça nous permet de nous introspecter puis de dire, OK, où est-ce que je suis rendue, moi, dans ma démarche de vie personnelle, tu sais, puis qu'est-ce que je peux apporter, moi, aux gens qui souffrent, qu'est-ce que je peux apporter au niveau des connaissances, au niveau aussi de l'aide, peu importe, dans tous les niveaux, ben ça nous aide là-dedans. Là.
Être pasteur, on veut pas, on est là pour les gens, puis les gens dans les églises, ben c'est comme monsieur et madame tout le monde. Ils ont des problèmes, il y a du monde qui se divorce, des affaires comme ça. Donc, nous, on doit être capable de les aider à surmonter ça.
Si les jeunes de l'Institut biblique du Québec comprennent entre eux ce choix de carrière particulier, ce n'est pas toujours le cas de leur entourage.
Je me suis déjà fait dire ça. Je me suis déjà fait demander si j'étais gay. J'ai dit non, pas du tout.
Quelqu'un qui ne croit pas en Dieu, qui voit quelqu'un qui croit en Dieu, ben un peu un extraterrestre, tu sais. Je sais pas, j'ai un ami imaginaire, puis j'y parle, tu sais. Comment que les autres me voient? Je sais pas. Comme un illuminé, je sais pas. Mais quand on se parle, ben on arrive à tu sais, on arrive à se comprendre.
C'est assez partagé, j'avoue, là, parce qu'en plus du fait que je suis une fille, puis que c'est assez rare là, dans ce domaine-là, fait que tout le monde me fait... C'est ceux qui sont pas croyants, si on veut, me regardent tout le temps en disant « Quoi, tu veux devenir sœur? » Puis ils sont là... Là, je fais « Non, c'est pas ça. » Là, j'essaie de leur expliquer un peu, mais quand je leur explique, ils comprennent plus. Au niveau même des croyants ou des gens de mon âge, mes amis, tout ça, les autres, des fois, ils me regardent puis ils sont là « Ah, c'est bon pour toi, tu sais, oui, je te vois là-dedans, mais moi, je serais pas capable de le faire. » Ou tu sais, c'est comme... C'est vraiment... Je pense que les gens ils voient qu'il y a une certaine vocation, si on veut, là.
Plus qu'un simple métier, choisir de devenir pasteur en 2008, alors qu'on n'a pas encore 30 ans, est en effet une vocation.
Si moi, je prends cette direction-là d'étudier en théologie, c'est parce que dans ma vie de prière, dans ma relation avec Dieu, j'ai senti clairement dans mon cœur que c'est ce qu'il me demandait de faire. Puis c'est vraiment incroyable de vivre ça. Ça donne vraiment une perspective, ça donne un sens à la vie, c'est pas compliqué.
Aisha, when's the last time you saw someone using a CD player?
You know, I don't even remember.
Yeah, the CD that was once popular has lost its buzz, and the music industry is even moving away from its use.
So what's happening to the spinning desk? Stephanie Dubois has the story.
With its awkward size, sensitivity, and its cost, the compact disc has spun out of tunes and is looking at extinction. With sales dropping to over 20% this year, the future of the compact disc is becoming hazy and has many fans awaiting its final spin. Concordia's CJ Lowe Program and Hip Hop Director, Brian Joseph, says that the compact disc is out of date in today's society and is more of a nuisance than a necessity.
It's not that I dislike CDs, but the use is becoming almost useless. And the technology has changed so much and transferring has become so easy that it's no longer a viable option to just rip a CD when you can send space it to yourself and have the music wherever you want with that link.
Online piracy is primarily to blame for the decline of the CD. Users can find their favorite song or album online for free, and with just a click of a button, it's on their computer. Record labels and artists are feeling the digital pain and are forced to promote their music to listeners in different ways. The largest social networking site, MySpace, launched a music page in September in hopes of becoming the one-stop website for music fans. People streamed music over 1 billion times in the first opening 3 days of the site. Following MySpace's online trend, Montreal record label True Kings is promoting their website more than their artists' CDs these days.
We know where the future is going.
Yeah, basically.
We know that CDs will eventually become obsolete.
Yeah.
So we got to be able to push people towards the Facebooks, the MySpaces, iTunes, because that's where you're generating the most income right now. It's coming people just downloading the music.
Storing CDs is also an issue for music junkies. The plastic case the disc comes in is often large and awkward to keep. Many music fans have slowly begun to transfer their music onto computers. Montreal DJ and Concordia student Mark Anthony Mamoni says that he still likes using CDs and can't part with them just yet.
I bring them all the time, and I have my CD player set up. It's a dual CD player that you can mix with, and I have that. I use that as my backup, my number one backup, so my number two, just in case my laptop or whatever I'm using explodes, stops working, anything. So I have that as my backup, but it's always worked. So I'm not gonna complain.
Critics argue that the usefulness of the CD is outweighed by the hassle of the media, and its end will come soon.
It really becomes the collector's item, because in terms of practicality, it's like CDs can only hold a certain amount of songs, where you can have your iPod is like this big now and you're holding like 500 songs, and you could choose your mood and all that. So it's like really, it's a collector's item.
Music lovers and producers agree that history is once again repeating itself, and the once popular CD is playing a different tune. For City Edge, I'm Stephanie Dubois.
The bike path looks slippery today.
Yeah, someone got hit, just Sarah Sinclair, and she's got an editorial about it.
Montreal cyclists and sympathizers need to question the $10 million that the city is throwing at the Maisonneuve bike path. City officials aren't acknowledging the mistakes they made with last summer's construction. I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't just be extending the same problems. My biggest problem? The path is on the wrong side of the street. Say you're biking along de Maisonneuve, heading east, against the flow of traffic. The traffic is heading west on a one-way street. A car is turning left onto another one-way street. It fails to notice you crossing, and it hits you. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. The Montreal Gazette hailed the bike path as being an extraordinary success. But they also reported Cégep student Ryan Kaplan being hit by a left-turning car. And it happened to me too last November. Sure, I got off easy with a few bruises and a broken frame, but it could have been a lot worse. The motorist is entirely at fault, but it's the cyclists who are getting hurt. Concordia urban planning student Chris Hatcher agrees that this doesn't make any sense. He says rearview mirrors on cars are designed to focus on the right side of the street, which is where the cyclist should be. Why is the path on the left side of the street? Darren Becker is a spokesperson for the man responsible for urban planning and transit, André Lavallée. He says it's because the south side is sunnier. Well, isn't that thoughtful? And even though I rarely use it, the past existence is still affecting cyclists like me. The police pulled me over the other day and asked me to move to the path. The officer wouldn't accept that I find it easier to ride through traffic than to navigate all of the bike path's problems. So rather than pretending that the problems with the bike path are all made up, maybe André Lavallée should hop on 2 wheels and give the path a test run for himself. I'm Sarah Sinclair. This is City Edge.
There are a lot of associations on Bishop Street, including the Association of Alms.
Alms?
Yeah, that means charity. It's pretty versatile, actually. You can drop off clothes to donate, sign up to volunteer, or help out your favorite charity.
So a club at Concordia that brings benevolence to university level.
Yeah, by getting students involved in nonprofit organizations. City Edge looked into their clothing drive.
You're looking through your closet and come to the realization that the bulk of your clothes either don't fit or are outdated. It's time to weed out the unnecessary elements of your wardrobe. But you don't feel right about just tossing those old sweaters and perfectly worn-in jeans into the garbage, so you decide to donate them to charity. That's where the Association of Alms comes into play. They not only provide a one-stop drop-off spot for all your donations, but also strive to maintain a permanent volunteer bank to be called upon by charities when needed. I sat down with Sorab Musadet to talk about what the club is up to this year.
So can you tell me about your upcoming events?
Well, this is our clothing drive, which is an event that we've been looking forward to. One of my fears is we might have too much clothes, and we're only 3 people, so there's going to be a problem of transportation, having to take all these bags of clothing to local charities. We're planning a shoe drive for next semester. We decided to separate clothing from shoes. They can just put a pair in their backpack, drop it off at our box every day when they go to class. We want to make it as convenient as possible for students to give. That's concerning our drives. We also have a food drive that we haven't planned yet, but it will happen this year. Aside from that, the other events that we're very excited for are our volunteer weekends, which we call weekends. And what that's about is we want to get a group of Concordia students together and go volunteer at an event, be it a fundraiser or just any venue. We went through Oldbury Mission already around Thanksgiving week this semester, and it was a great success. Students loved it. We had a lot of good feedback. And the whole point is that some students might be intimidated to volunteer on their own at a homeless shelter, for example. And when we get people together and we sort of have a group mentality, we all have, positive intentions, it just facilitates volunteering and giving as a group. And at the same time, we want to sort of put Concordia University on the map at the community level. For example, when we went to the Oldbury Mission, the director there was a Concordia graduate since 30 years ago. And he said, this is the first time I'm seeing Concordia students who are coming here to volunteer, while we get McGill students all the time. So we're very happy that they had us there.
How do you juggle school and volunteering?
By juggling, basically. It's very hard. This is my first year involved, and I feel like the more ambitious we become, the harder it gets to organize everything, to manage everything. But at the same time, it's so rewarding. There's so much that we get back just from talking to students who have so much positive energy, who we're so happy to see this service, this initiative at Concordia, that it makes it worth it. But it involves sacrifices. It involves sacrifices in terms of grades and social life, everything else. And just talk to Aileen, like 2 a.m. phone calls just to get things for the next day ready. It's hard. It's definitely a challenge, but it's worth it.
For City Edge, I'm Aisha Hassan.
So what else is going on this weekend?
Well, the Grey Cup's happening on Sunday. The Montreal Alouettes are playing the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, and the Canadians are facing off with the Bruins at the Bell Centre tomorrow night.
And comedian Jean Lajoie is performing at the Metropolis tomorrow night.
And Grammy Award winner Chris Cornell is playing there the night after. That's a busy weekend for you.
Well, there you have it. Thanks for joining us. I'm Julia Princelar.
And I'm Aisha Hassan. This is City Edge, stories from Concordia reporters.